All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Hooferr. So we're going to ignore the slight mistake that I had at the beginning here. I accidentally forgot to start recording, so I just undid everything and then immediately redid it so that way you guys can kind of get a quick glimpse about what I did. And then we're going to get into the speed build. So for this house, I have these two Sims. One is Todd and one is Mary. They are newlyweds. I was trying to make them a nice starter home since they just got married and they just moved in together. They are both workaholics with no plans of kids in the future. So this smaller starter home is really good for them. And there is technically a spare bedroom, which you could turn in later to a kid's bedroom, but I turned it into the office since they are the workaholic families. The house is also very small. It has a kitchen, a very tiny living room, a little bit of a dining room, kind of a really nice spacious office room, and then a good bedroom and a tiny bathroom. So everything ends up fitting in a small kind of house, to save money and stuff. There's also a lot of places where if you wanted to have more money for this house, you could cut some corners by downgrading a few things or maybe make them work for the computer that I put in the house. There is also a lot of room for improvement. Most of the appliances, especially the computer, are the lower level things. So that way it was able to make the house a little bit more affordable. But with you guys being able to get into the house, working for it and stuff like that, you guys will be able to make some more simoleons and then be able to build up a better house with a lot better furniture in it. So the two Sims, they have a great love story. It's fantastic. So we have Todd and Mary. And Todd and Mary were both, workaholics, didn't want to really get married, didn't want to settle down. They didn't have time for love or dating. But one day while Todd was at a seminar for work business leadership, he sees Mary up top and she's giving a speech and he's like, oh, that's the one. And he was absolutely in love with her. So he started talking to her, found out that their offices were both about a block away. And that's when he felt absolutely in love. They started meeting for coffee every morning since there was a coffee shop right between the two of them. They have all this fun, fantastic work talk. They have so much in common and it clicked. It was absolutely fantastic. They both understood each other. They both knew work came first, but they could, love each other on the side. It was a nice little connection. And after 3 years of coffee dates and cute meetups, Todd finally proposed to Mary. And she thought it was a very good business arrangement. So, they got together. And since it just makes financial sense to move in together, they did straight away. So that way they could start making more savings. But even though they work a lot, they do have a lot of money in savings. But they also are a little bit of penny pinchers where they don't want to spend all of their savings just on the house. So for now, they're trying to still, work up their saving accounts. And they want to be able to work as much as they can so that way when they retire, they can have all the nice things instead of having them now. And maybe Mary's thinking possibly in the future later, maybe getting a dog, but we'll see about that. They're rarely ever home, so that's a lot of commitment for them. So also in this kitchen, I decided to place a little coffee machine since, workaholics trying to constantly do work, stay up all-nighters and stuff like that. And they're constantly on the computer doing emails and other work that they take home from the office with them since they can just never stop. So I made sure to give them a nice little coffee machine, a little coffee area, kind of give it some personality to the kitchen. Especially the fact that they didn't have very much money. There's not very much decoration that I could do in this house. I mean, technically, I could have cut a few things out. Like that sofa over there was not too cheap, but I like it. So we're going to kind of ignore it. This also gives you guys more possibility if anybody wants to, download this house and kind of make it into your own. It gives you the opportunity to be able to add more decor and kind of give them a little bit more personalities for the way you guys want to play with it. This house will be up on my gallery page for Hooferr for The Sims 4. I post a lot of stuff there. I also posted the family that I decided to play with this as well. Just in case you guys want to just start up and play, you already have a background for the family. You have a starter home for them. They can just jump right into it. The lot ended up costing 2,500 simoleons, and I did it over in Newcrest. So there was enough room to kind of have like a nice cheap-ish lot, but not too expensive. So, it makes sense for a nice starter family. The only thing is I have not played with them at all yet. So if you do download the family, you'll have to get them into their careers and stuff like that unless you want to cheat, which is totally fine. They're brand new young adults. So getting them worked up through the working field would not be that hard or cheating in a few skills if you wanted to just start their story out the correct way. I completely forgot to add any of that stuff. I uploaded them straight from Cass, and I just never ended up adding the extra skills and re-uploading them. But maybe I'll try to do that later whenever I actually start playing around with them, because they do seem like a fun family. And I can't wait for them to, live out their life, maybe possibly actually one day having a kid. But that seems very unlikely, but still, it would be fun to kind of see their kid grow up and also possibly be like a business entrepreneur. Maybe even the whole family could end up owning their own business one day, which would be really fun to play with. Also, I am absolutely usually terrible with building houses. It's not my forte. I like building them for the functionality, never necessarily the pretty. I always usually play with the walls down, so playing with walls up and having decor up is not usually my style. But I thought a really cool speed build would be nice, and it would kind of challenge me a little bit to try to build something that actually looks nice and pretty and is functioning at the same time. Also, I always build rectangles because it is the easiest thing, just to get a sim on a lot, build a rectangle, put some rooms in there and call it a day. But this time I tried to go a little bit out of the comfort zone and actually make something that looked a little bit more unique and gave it some more character. And it's still technically a rectangle, but the house itself is not. Adding the porches in really ended up helping me stay in my comfort zone without having to be completely out of my comfort zone and stuff. But the house still has some intrigue to it. Also, I never use the BB move objects cheats, but oh my goodness, being able to put a little door flower plate thing, oh, it was so beautiful. And then being able to move these potters next to each other, it was great. I love BB move objects so much. I just rarely play with it because I always forget to turn it on. And then sometimes when I have it on, I forget that I have it on. So then I'll end up clipping something together that's not actually useful anymore. And I can't use it with the Sims because you put a plate down in front of them and they can't walk over it all of a sudden. So playing with it sometimes ends up being a disadvantage for me because I just can't get it to be functional. And the whole point of how I like to play is functionality. So it's a little off sometimes, but oh my goodness, does it make stuff so much prettier, and you can just move stuff around. It's so beautiful. I love it. Especially whenever I get to the front and the back of the house, I start using plants and stuff like that to make the greenery look nicer. I have the move objects cheats on, and they're able to basically just overlap each other and make it look so much more lush and a lot more prettier. So it's like custom bushes without having to go and pick the bushes they already have. So it ends up making it look more personalized and a lot better of a build. Also with this build, I tried a bunch of different things. I usually don't do foundations because honestly, I forget that they exist. In Sims 2, it was so easy. You would put the foundation down first and then you would build the house. In The Sims 4, it's so much nicer because you can build the house and then decide the foundation. But since there's not a specific button inside the build category, you actually just have to find the slider whenever you select the room. I honestly forget half the time how to do it, so I just skip the foundation. But I absolutely love foundations inside the Sims houses. They just look so much better in my opinion. And I love having the little bit of stairs going up to the patio. It just gives some more space without making the house feel so crowded. So now on to the hardest part for me personally, the roofs. So if anybody's ever seen my Minecraft roofs, they're absolutely terrible. And they're usually just, a flat roof because I, for the life of me, just can't do roofs very well. I don't understand. I never look up at them. I never think about them. And I never really attempt, which is why I'm personally trying to make kind of a little bit more intriguing roof with this one. It has multiple parts to it, kind of trying to give it a little bit more uniqueness to it. And it is a struggle for me, but if I never work at it, I'll never get better. So this is basically my attempt. And this speed build is forcing me to have to make a decent looking roof, because if I just post a build with no roof, somebody's going to notice and somebody's going to point it out. So, this is my way of forcing myself to practice and get better. Now, I wish I could make the really pretty intricate roofs with multiple pieces to it and clipping here and clipping there. I can't, but this is my honest best attempt at it. And I wanted to add that cute little bay window type of side thing. And I thought that roof would look really cute on it because it fits the corners. But after adding the rest of the pieces of the roof, I don't think it matches very well, but I'm already committed. So that's what it's gonna be. I tried to blend it as much as possible. Did not work out the best, but I also don't think it's the worst. So I count that as a win. If anybody could show me how to do a better roof or blend this better, I will take any sort of tips. I'm still trying to pick up pieces here and there. It's better than my one big giant rectangle roof and calling it a day. This at least has multiple pieces to it, and I tried to eliminate as much as the clipping overlay as possible. I actually shrank individual sides, so it shows that I have gained some knowledge on building roofs. It's just still very, very new to it, and I'm still trying to get better at it. Also, after I finish building the roof, I add a trim a little bit to it that kind of darkens up the color on the outside, which I think hides some of the imperfections in it. It still definitely has problems that I will get better at eventually, but at least for now, there is a few ways to kind of hide the imperfections here and there, which make it look better. And also, who's really looking at the roof anyway? Am I right? You're going to look at it to pick the house like one time, and then you're going to ignore it the rest of the time. And I can appreciate a really pretty house with a really pretty roof. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's not affecting the play. I'm okay. I can take my time to try to make a better roof and get better at it. So I know I definitely took a really long time on the roof, but I promise it's almost over. I started trying to add this extra piece. I didn't even know what I was trying to do anymore. I just wanted to remove that one little corner that was clipping off to the side, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. I just decided to shrink it a little bit and hope that nobody pays attention. Call it a day, good enough. I just wanted it to go over top of the post, but not clip into the other one. And at some point I just gave up. This is the best that I can personally do at the moment, but this also leaves room for me and room for improvement to be able to get better at it. And I can always look back at it and be like, oh, you see that clipping mistake right there? Yeah, now I can actually fix it, and I've gotten a lot better. So it'll be better for later on to look back at everything. So getting back to like the exterior, and I'm about to start doing the terrain tools and all that stuff and start getting the paint down. And let's just ignore this house moving for a bit. I tried to move it, and then the stair kept deleting itself and moving around. And then I finally just moved the whole lot, called it a day. I just wanted less space from the front to the house, so that way I could have a shorter pathway up there. But it's fine. It fixed itself. It's all good. And then I can finally start adding the terrain paint and adding, you know, the little sidewalk up to the other sidewalk, getting your nice little front porch in. I'm going to do some nice pebble work to the back of the house. And I love the little garden area. I didn't make the backyard too big because what type of workaholic really has time to go outside and play and do outdoors activities? But I still wanted it to look nice and kind of give it greenery because in my opinion, greenery makes you happy. And so I want as much greenery around me as possible. And being able to do the outside and add a bunch of nice, pretty plants and just making everything kind of feel lively, it adds character to the house and kind of just gives everything a better vibe and a better atmosphere. So that's what I was basically going for this outdoor garden area. Not really for like, you know, taking your time outside and spending time in the outdoors because honestly, these two Sims are probably just going to be inside all the time in their computer rooms doing work. And that's basically it. But just in case they want some fresh air, they can go outside. They'll have some nice, you know, decor. We got the rocks and little pebbles inside of the little garden area. I added some trees. I definitely had to start using debug because if you haven't noticed, we're kind of out of simoleons by this point because I can't control myself. I really wanted to leave some extra money in case anybody wanted to start with this family or start their own family in this house. Yeah, I messed up a bit. Also, ignore the pond. I don't know. I started getting sidetracked. I don't use debug very often. And when I found out I could put a whole freaking pond on my lot, I got a little too excited. So I started throwing them down just to see what it looks like. But I do not add that. It's fine. We can ignore it. I'm looking for debug at the moment, but the problem is I used regular debug and I did not add the extra cheat in that gives you the extra debug products for landscaping and stuff like that. I only had the items, which I did add the really cute Valentine's Day cards to the woman's desk because in my little scenario in my head, you know, the man had given her some Valentine's Day cards. He wrote her a special little note and, you know, she's not really that much of a romantic, lovey person, but for him, she is. So she kept the cards up on her desk wherever she works. So it's kind of like the most special place to her because he's also the most special person to her. And I thought that was really cute to add like a little touch there. This tree I had to pay for because I still, listen, I wasn't the brightest at the moment. I was still trying to figure out how to get the landscape debugs. I thought I had done it correctly. Guess I did not because I did the BB show hidden objects cheat. but not the live mode stuff. So I had to add that one in, the live edit one. And then I finally had the free edit sheets and stuff like that in there. And I was able to do that. And it helped out so much more. And we were able to save some good cash. So for the last of this build, I'm pretty much just gonna add some debug, terrain stuff, some extra plants, some greenery, stuff to just kind of liven up the place, but doesn't cost us any simoleons because we only had 8 left. And I'm just saying, the second I started playing this family, they immediately both went to go cook themselves some food and I was left with 1 whole simoleon. So not the brightest idea. You probably definitely want to try to sell something once you get in if you want them to eat, but it's fine. I probably could have replaced the tree that I ended up buying for like 60 simoleons and made it free instead with a debug tree. But listen, by this point I was done. I just wanted to finish it up. I had finally found debug. I wanted to get into those bushes. I love making the custom bushes. They make the house that you're making look plain and simple to so much better. It adds extra flair to it and you have all this fun decorative stuff in the beginning. Like it makes the front of the house look so much more real and more alive than just a standard square that's been plopped in the middle of your world. So for the last of this, I used 2 different type of bushes mainly. The colorful one for the purple one, and then the other side was like a red color, kind of to give it a little bit of a diversity between the 2 sides because I don't want it to completely be like symmetrical. But then these little fern looking ones were so pretty. I just kind of sized them either up or down a little bit, kind of merged them in together, added like basically a big fluffy type of bush there. And it just kind of made it feel full, made it feel pretty, and added some character to the house that I was really looking for. And it was the absolute perfect bush to shape around the house and just really add that extra little oomph that I was looking for it. And the 2 little colors in the front just kind of, it breaks up the bush, but still gives it a little bit of color for it. And I was in love with the bushes that I ended up making. I'm sorry, but I love them. I'm also super jealous of the bushes because in a real house for me, I kill like every plant I ever touch and I just can't keep up with the plants outside. So being able to have the Sims where the plants are always living, they never die, like, at least for the fake bushes and stuff, it makes me so happy to be able to make like dream homes with a lot of greenery that I know I cannot take care of. But yeah, that was it for the speed build. I'm going to throw up some pictures of some of the interior, a little bit closer up, and that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching and bye.